There are rumors around that this is Britain's revenge for the Boston Tea Party. 3,000 screaming teenagers are at New York's Kennedy Airport to greet, you guessed it, the Beatles. This rock and roll group has taken over as the kingpins of musical appreciation among the younger element. Some music critics call their harmony unmistakably diatonic. Others say it's pandiatomic. Parents say it's just plain pandemonium. Their first meeting with the American press brings forth an interview laced with quips and humor. You'd laugh, too, with a gross of $17 million last year. New York City cop...
Okay, it's just a knitting lady. I can't even talk. It's starting out really well. This is take 2. I recorded something and I played it back and I go, oh no. I was rambling. Rambling man, rambling woman, whatever. Do you like my lead-in video? It's the anniversary of the Beatles arriving in the USA for the first time. They arrived February 7th, 1964 in New York at what was then Idlewild Airport, which is now JFK Airport. And 2 days later, they played the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time. Oh, I have such fond memories. I may have been only 11, but I just fell in love with them. And so did my mother. She thought they were wonderful as well. Her favorite was George, mine was Paul. But what changed my life about the Beatles coming to the United States and becoming so popular was I was no longer a dork in grammar school. Of course, I am a dork, but I was accepted by the in crowd because they liked the Beatles and I liked the Beatles. So that was a boost to my self-confidence. I was allowed to sit at the in table. I know it sounds silly now, but at the time it was a big thing. Yes, I really loved them. You know, had all their albums. I think I know all their songs. I know a lot of trivia about them. But unfortunately, I don't know enough to win trivia contests. I have a friend I worked with. He would win all these contests. He really knew details. I never knew that many intricate, details like he did. So, I missed yesterday, so I will make up for it. And the affirmations are, all right, I'll wait on that. Maybe tomorrow, if I get a chance to do a video, I'll talk about affirmations. The affirmation for tomorrow is really, don't be a cynic. From somebody who can be a cynic. Maybe that's why I don't like the affirmation. Anyway, haven't been doing much knitting or crocheting. In fact, I was trying to finish putting together a sweater last night and I got interrupted. I looked at it and I go, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, so I put it down. But I will talk about what I start watching afterwards. But I'll mention that later. So yesterday, the 6th, was the birthday of Bob Marley. He was born in 1945, died in 1981. I always liked his music. Ronald Reagan was a great president. Born in 1911, died in 2004. And Babe Ruth, I mentioned him before, famous baseball player. Born in 1895, died in 1948. And on February 6, 1952, Britain's King George VI died and succeeded by his daughter Elizabeth II. She was in Kenya at the time her father died, and she was later crowned Queen Elizabeth II on June 2nd, 1953, at the age of 27. So she's the longest reigning British monarch. She's pretty hip, that lady, I'll tell you. You know, for her age, I hope I have her energy. I always like to, I know like people make fun of the way she dresses. I always liked the way she dressed. Everything matched. I don't know. And she always has a little purse. But my favorite character in Golden Girls is Sophie with the purse. So, you know, I always have a purse with me too. But anyway, so today is Super Bowl Sunday. And did you know 1.5 million people call in sick to work the Monday after Super Bowl? So I'm not a big American football fan. And I don't have a TV. I always liked going to Super Bowl parties though. Especially to watch the commercials. But of course with all this going on, there are no Super Bowl parties. Or else if people are having them in their home, I haven't been invited. I used to belong to the Eagles. It's a fraternal club, and we used to have a really good Super Bowl party. We'd have the pools, and we had all kinds of food. Haven't been to one of those parties in a while. So my brother, who just celebrated a birthday, the 3rd, his best birthday was when the New York Giants, his favorite team, won the Super Bowl on February 3rd, 2008. So he always said that was his best birthday. His favorite team won the Super Bowl. So that's enough. I think so many people know about Queen Elizabeth. There were facts, like I didn't think anything really stood out. Except that she's the only monarch to ever serve, well, maybe not the only monarch to serve in World War II, but she's the only female royal family member to have served in the military and only current living head of state to have served in World War II. She was a member of the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service in 1945. Where she worked as a truck driver and mechanic. See, told you. Lady has a lot of talents. So back to the 7th and the anniversary of the Beatles. But first, the birthdays. Charles Dickens was born in 1812 and died in 1870. So his birthday is February 7th. He's one of my favorite authors. I haven't read all his books. I've read most of them. But my favorite book by him is still The Christmas Carol, followed by Tale of Two Cities. In fact, I think I mentioned before in high school, I translated The Christmas Carol, you know, the play, into Latin, and we performed it. Do I remember much of that? No. But I still watch the movie, The Christmas Carol, and I still cry at the end. How many times have you seen that movie? I'm sure there are movies a lot of you have watched that still bring a tear to your eye. And it's also the birthday of Ashton Kutcher. He was born in 1978. So he's the same age as my son. No, he's a little older than my son. He was born early, 1978. And Chris Rock, the comedian, is born in 1965. So the Beatles arrived. They had a press conference right away, and that's where they were so witty. The people just loved them. Then they were whisked off to the Plaza Hotel, which is still there on Central Park South. It's a beautiful place. It's not just a hotel. I think it has condos in it as well. I've been in the Plaza, not to stay. I took a tour once. And they used to have a nice little cafe there. I don't know if they still do because they've done different renovations and it's not as easy to get in. But they were booked as 4 businessmen. So here come the Beatles with all their fans surrounding the hotel for days on end. They had to have 50 policemen keeping track of the fans, making sure they don't get into the hotel, etc. And constant screaming. So the plaza did not allow the Beatles to come back again. On subsequent, when they came back to New York, at other times, they had to stay at the Warwick Hotel. Oh, well. So, this one disc jockey became famous. Well, he was well known to begin with in New York. He was Murray Decay, and he used to give these shows. But he became even more famous by hanging around the Beatles. He was often known as the 5th Beatle. Murray Decay, Murray Kaufman. He was a very good disc jockey. He's gone now. He died in 1982. So the Beatles were all over the place. They performed at Carnegie Hall. They were on the Ed Sullivan Show. They went down to D.C., Washington, D.C., performed there. They went to Miami. They spent a good deal of time, and they finally went back to England on the 22nd. I'm not going to go into all the details, but here I was. This shows how things have changed. Here I was at the age of 11 with my transistor radio, with the earpiece, Of course, you had the wire, you plugged in the transistor radio, put in your ear, and I used to listen it late at night, all the interviews and everything. It was an exciting time for me. I don't know. It just brought a lot of good memories. Always liked the Beatles. But let me tell you about this show I watched last night after I messed up putting knitting the sweater together, which I have to look up again. But I think I'll do that tomorrow where I have more daylight. My son calls me up and he goes, "You got to watch this show, Mom. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Gary Busey, Pet Judge." Gary Busey, B-U-S-E-Y, the crazy actor. He looks like he's crazy. He has this show on where he's a judge. And you have 2 sides, of course, the plaintiff and the defendant. And there's a case involving a pet. It could be a dog, could be a cat, it could be a bird. I only watched 2 hours of it. It's 2 different cases each hour. But it's hysterical. It is crazy. I mean, Gary Busey is crazy to begin with. And you just sit back there and you can't believe half the things that comes out of his mouth. It's hysterical. If you want to watch a show where it's just pure escape and you don't have to think about anything, and I think that's what you need sometimes, you have to watch this show. It really is. Gary Busey looks like a crazy man to begin with, He's 76 years old, this man. Good for him, but it is so funny. It really is. They had one case where it was the cremated pet, and they couldn't decide how they were going to dispose of the cremated pet, and they bring in the box. It's crazy. But that's it. I think I'm going to go watch some more of that. So everybody have a good night. And I hope you're watching the Super Bowl. The team you're rooting for wins. I think I'll just read about it later. So take care.